Oh, let me get you some.
You're loud, bro. All of America can hear you, bro.
Alright. Good to go. Good to go. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Jamie. I'm going to put it here. Let me know if you can hear. Alright. So if you're on and you want to go ahead and share right now, please go ahead and share. Y'all can share right quick, too. No, you're good. You're good. Okay, can you
share?
Yeah, go on there and share the live.
My phone in my purse.
Ready.
No, I'm supposed to do this right now.
Oh, we're good. Okay. Sorry.
Ready.
So we're going to wait a minute and let some more people come on in. I hope you are doing good today.
Boom.
All right. Oops. Hope you are. Mute myself. This is just so I can see comments. Thank you. Come closer.
I can't get any closer.
So this is my first time having more than just one other person. So we had to really finagle some stuff so you could see all three of us. If you had caught me earlier, a couple of you guys helped me with the orientation of the phone. Can you hear me okay? Because I did have to push it further back. So let me know if you can hear me okay. Now, a couple of you guys on there. Where's that little bag? Look at that. I know.
We'll get to your questions in a moment.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks, Jamie.
All right. Hey, Jeannie.
Hey, Jenny.
Hey, Tamara.
Hey, John.
Hey, John. Oh, you got good vision.
Yes.
You can see all the way back there?
No, I saw him. Corey probably could see it.
My good God.
Can you see?
A lot of money for you guys now.
Oh,
I can see there this far. Let me stop.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. I'm glad you guys can hear me. We are going to go ahead and get this party started. It is a little bit after 8 o'clock, so I do appreciate you guys, as always, coming to hang out and listen to the conversation. This is the 5th episode, and I have my friends here, the Hooks.
hello.
And the reason I brought them on today, a couple reasons. We're all peers, we're all in our mid-30s, and one thing that I struggle with, right, I'm single, is the dating process and finding someone and somebody who will, like, you know, kind of cater to your love language, if you will, right? It's stuck in my head now. So, one thing that I feel like they do very well as a couple is understand that about each other and just some of the special things that they do for one another. And I just want you guys to hear some of their stories and get to know them a little bit. So I'm going to let you guys take over just for a bit. They have a lot of businesses. They do a lot of fun things. So I want you guys to get to know them and let them talk. You see their shirts. Right,
yeah,
right?
We are wearing our
So go ahead and tell the people who you are.
All right, I'll start first. I'm Corey. Currently, I'm a firefighter. That's my primary profession. I also own a landscape business, and together we own Hooks Hoppers, a bounce house and party rental business. We also book a little travel, and I think that's about it.
Well, I'm Janelle. I'm Corey's wife. I am a medical assistant and supervisor at St. Vincent's, and then of course everything that he said. So,
okay, so they have a bounce house company, guys, and they rent bounce houses. How can they find you?
You can go hookshoppers.com. We're Hooks Hoppers on Facebook and Hooks Hoppers on Instagram. And again, we also book travel as well. That's Y'all Always Gone on Instagram, Facebook, and our YouTube channel.
It's funny. It's called Y'all Always Gone because they're always gone somewhere.
we're gone a lot.
A lot. So
A lot.
I'll make sure, and them, tag the information so you guys can follow them if you need any bounce house rentals, if you need any travel travel arrangements, or even just some knowledge on what to do and where to go because they've done all of the above, you guys can reach out to them.
Yes.
So,
yes, you can. Yes.
So I want to go ahead and get everything started.
Okay.
Like I mentioned earlier, we are peers, and one thing I feel like our age group doesn't do well is stay married. And you guys have been married for 17 years.
Yeah.
Long, hard.
Long. What all hard. Just the first 10.
Right. And we know it's not easy, right? We know that there are things you got to work on, So, okay, let's do a little math real quick.
Okay.
Married 17 years. So, how old were you guys when you met and got married?
So, I met Corey when I was 16 and he was 17. Right? Yeah. No, you just turned 18. You just turned 18.
Yeah.
I had met him like a week after his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
It was somewhere between like December 20th and December 30th.
We won't break.
2000.
I know that.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's Christmas break.
Yes.
Okay, teenage love. Tell us a little bit about the courting process. What was that like?
What
And
really
I-
a courting process? It's crazy.
So I met Corey at Chuck E. Cheese, people. So I was that was my first job. So I was working at Chuck E. Cheese, and Corey walked in the door, and yes, there is a such thing as love at first sight because that's what it was for me. He walked in. I remember exactly what he had on. He had blue jeans with a blue jabot shirt and white Reeboks. Yes, I do remember that. And so he walked in, and thank God I had my hair done that day. But he walked in, and I was a cashier, and when I saw him, I couldn't see or hear anything in the room. All I saw was him. And I knew at that moment I had to talk to him. So back then, though, I was really shy. So I didn't talk to a lot of people, but I knew I had to do something. And our really good friend, Carlos, I ran in the kitchen, and I'm like, Los, there's this guy outside. I want to meet him. And Los was like, oh, that's my dog, Corey. I'm like, put me in. He's like, no. No. So I had to go out there and put myself on the line. So I walked up on Corey, and I asked him, what are you doing in here? And he looked at me like I was plumb stupid. So, but he did entertain me, and he just said he was there with his brother, and I let him be, and I gave Julius some tokens and all that good stuff. But I do remember at the end of the night, I asked him for his phone number, and he said no, but he'll take mine. So I gave him my phone number.
See, I like that. She shot her shot, but as a man, he was like, you know what? I'll take your phone number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. And we'll go back a little bit. The only reason I was in Chuck E. Cheese is
Let me clarify.
Yeah. 16-year-old, 18-year-old going to Chuck E. Cheese. My brother and I, whenever we didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, because Los worked at Chuck E. Cheese, we would always go and he'd give us free food and tokens. So it was sort of a way to get out when we didn't have any money. So that was the day we didn't have any money. So trying to go to the movies or to the beach or anything like that was out. Chuck E. Cheese wasn't quite as far as the beach, and we had enough gas in the Prelude to get to Chuck E. Cheese and back.
Good old
So
Prelude.
that's why we were.
That's why you're at Chuck
Going
E.
to
Cheese.
Chuck E. Cheese.
He wasn't no grown man, just at Chuck E.
Yeah,
Cheese, you guys.
Went to Chuck E. Cheese for some pizza, left with a woman.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys meet. You're at Chuck E. Cheese. At what point and how long did it take you to realize, okay, we're gonna get married? Because it happened shortly after that.
It did.
No. Well,
Well,
I guess
timing-
knowing that it
timing,
was going
yeah.
to get married happened. The actual wedding, came a year and a half later?
Yeah, because I met Corey in December of 2000. He graduated from high school and went to the Marine Corps. I waited for him to come back, and
Wrote me every day,
I
which
tried.
was significant. It was
Yeah.
it was really, really strong. That was a really important part of it. Being in boot camp, away from everybody, completely separated from civilization, and every day receiving a letter. And if I didn't get one on a particular day, I got 2 the next day. So it was just an issue with the mail and not necessarily her writing me, and that really went a long way. And actually, even to go back, we were really poor when I was growing up. So much so to where the kids in middle school, I had 5 outfits the entire school year, and the kids would guess what I was going to wear next. Because they had a 20% chance of getting it right. And middle school kids are mean.
Kids are mean.
So all of that played like a huge part, because when I got to high school, I got into the work program, and again, I was never really a shot guy. So I would talking about shooting your shot. I'd shoot my shot like nothing, and everybody would sort of like kind of reject you. And then, ninth grade, they want to focus on their studies. They want to ruin our friendship. They're not for a relationship right now. And 10th grade comes along, same thing. 11th grade comes along. I get in the work program and get a job at Blue Cross. And I would leave school my junior year, 11:30, and go to work for 6, 7. I almost had a full-time job in high school because I would get there like noon and work to 6. I'm working 6 hours a day, $7 an hour, and my only bill was like insurance, which is $77 a month. So for all intents and purposes, I was rich. And going back to that moment from middle school, now that I had a little bit of money, I was like, man, I'm never gonna let that happen again. So I just kind of went clothed and shoe crazy. I was, buying shoes cost $180. I had $140 pair of jeans, Iceberg when that was real popular. A freaking cotton T-shirt with Bugs Bunny, What's on It Docs, like $110. I walked to the school when they were probably $800 worth of clothes on. It was crazy just because I could. And it's funny because at that moment, those same people that wanted to focus on their studies, apparently their studies wasn't so important anymore. And so, the fact that she didn't know any of that, it went a long way because I felt like she liked me for basically at that moment what she saw, not what she thought that I could provide. And so that played into it, as did the whole writing me every day while I was in boot camp. So that was two of the things
that's
that
real.
sort of got us to where we were.
That's real. That is something that is hard to capture nowadays. Like what you just said, I just thought about it. It's like, especially with social media, we can kind of perceive how a person is and judge them, and judging not necessarily in a bad way, but judge them however we conceive them based on what they're presenting. So for someone to come and meet you where you are currently and not know any of that, I can see how you would say, you know what, this person really does like me. They like what they see enough because they don't know all of that other stuff. And that's real. That's really genuine. Like, I like that.
So it helped. It made me realize again that she, me and my car was raggedy as all get out. She never made fun of it. It was the raggediest car ever. But
you was riding me around.
Yeah, it did crank up eventually, and it got us where we needed to go. But there was never any judgment there. It was none of that. So that went a long way as well.
That's good. So when you got out of the Marines, about what time was that in the timeline?
So I left on...
And I got out, but boot camp.
Yeah. I got out of boot camp, went from August of 01 until November of 01. I came home for a week or two. And then I went to tank school because I was a tank crewman in the Marine Corps. So I went to tank school, which went from January of 02 until April of 02. And then came home and we were I was here for good, ended up getting a job at Sports Authority and moving in together and getting married in July.
Well, yeah, because he proposed to me our senior year in high school in December when he came back from tank school, and everybody thought I was crazy. And but I knew in my spirit this was my husband. So I was, and I mean, he was so sweet. He asked my mom, he asked my dad. He was very, just a gentleman about it. And so when I found out I was pregnant with Julian 2 weeks before we graduated from school. And I mean, I'm already engaged. I already know. Okay, well, so he went to his first drill, 2-week drill in the Marines in the summer. And when he was gone, that whole 2 weeks, I was like, I cannot have this baby and not have his last name first. And so when he came home, it was funny. He came home and he put his bag down and he's like, I need to talk to you. I'm like, I need to talk to you too. And we said it at the same time, we need to get married. We got married that Saturday.
Aww.
Yeah, we got married in church. It was really quick. A lot of people weren't there, which was why we renewed our vows.
And again, going back, that was another important thing. My mom was 14 when I was born, and my dad was 38. They were never married, and I don't have my dad's last name. So, growing up, that was something I always wanted. I wanted everybody in the house, to have my name. Yeah, same name.
That's important. And I was going to ask that too. It's I know a lot of it, I feel like when you are at a certain age and just coming up with certain experiences, you realize I don't want to have gone through the same thing I went through before my kids to go through that. So that was a factor for you too, right? You know what, we're already going to get married. We're going to have a kid. Let's just do this now because why wait?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's real. That's really respectable. My boy was always hustling. Still is. So, was the age not a factor then? I mean, you proposed at a young age, so like being married young, did it never like cross your mind like I'm gonna miss something or?
For me, no.
It sort of came later, but
yeah, it did. Like in the beginning, no.
Yeah.
We were just like, we're gonna do it, and we did. So, I mean, I think for the both of us, I think what made us stick in the very beginning is because we kind of had the same story. You know, he had to raise his brother. I had to raise my sister. We had to grow up really fast, and I think we were more mature beyond
what your just numerical age where you guys had that commonality.
Right.
And that makes a lot of sense too. So I can see that. So we're going to fast forward a little bit because we, touched on you guys' young marriage and you made it work because obviously we're here 17 years later. I want to get to the good stuff, which is some of the things that you guys have done to make it last. Because as we all know, marriage isn't easy. It's not a walk in the park. It's not easy. You know what I mean? A lot of things romanticize it, and we know that's not the case, and that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about any of that. We want to talk about what do you do and what advice can you give, but really first, what do you do for each other that keeps it alive, that keeps it going, that keeps this spark there? Because I think that that's the thing, especially in this day and age, a lot of us lose. Someone gets on your nerves and you're just like, I'm canceling them.
Right.
Or someone does something that you don't like. And I'm not talking about big, huge.
Just anything.
Just anything. And it's so easy to cut somebody off nowadays. I know I'm guilty of it too. You know what I mean? You don't use proper punctuation. I'm like, I'm not talking to you anymore. So it's like, it's so easy nowadays. Like, what are some things, like, I want you guys to just...
You know what? For me, I feel like with us, dating is a huge thing. Of course, marriage. They say, okay, marriage is hard. Yes, it is, but it's also very romantic and fulfilling, and I can't stress enough dating your spouse. We do that a lot now, especially with Julian being 16 and he's babysitting and things like that. But you have to remember why you got together in the beginning. What was that feeling you had? What made you fall in love? If you can remember that, I think you'll be okay. Another thing that I really want to stress is, when you're in a relationship with somebody, especially when you're married for a long time, you can lose yourself. You can, any of that. Love yourself first. Then you can really properly love your mate. I didn't learn this until later on, but, I've loved Corey more than I love myself for probably almost my whole marriage until recently when I started loving myself. And now I love him more now than I did before, and I didn't even think that was even possible. But I really just want to stress to be happy first, and then you can be happy with your mate. But also, please date your spouse, spend time with them, make time. There was in the beginning we was hustling, trying to get this paper that we didn't do that, and now we have the chance to do that.
What about for you?
Oh, that was beautiful. For me, like, it's weird because I get a certain joy out of that, out of making anybody sort of in my circle happy any way I can. I tell. I was telling my buddy John, who I don't know if he's still watching or not, but when I do anything, I'm trying. Not saying I always succeed, but I'm trying to be the best. So if I'm your friend, I'm trying to be the best friend you have. If I'm your dad, I'm trying to be the best dad ever. And if I'm your husband, I'm trying to be the best husband ever. So subliminally, subconsciously, I'm competing with every other dude. And with all things being equal, I want to win. So I don't ever want her to feel like somebody is getting something that she's not. And then it's even to the point we compete with each other. So
this was recent.
Yeah, real recent. We gotta go recent.
I love this. Okay, I love this. Not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
They just recently out surprised. Is that a word? That's not a word.
I don't know. We made it up today.
I think it's surprise.
Yeah, I surprised one another recently. So I'm gonna let them tell you.
I'm gonna tell you. So what happened?
You go first because yours was first.
Yeah, mine was first. So
go ahead.
Corey had never been.
Just really quick.
So Corey had never been
kind
to
of
Capoeira.
stuff. This is the kind of stuff right here. It's like the meat and potatoes.
With, being in the medical field, you go to rep dinners and things like that. So I've been to Capitol Grill quite a few times. And Corey used to always like, I ain't going to Capitol Grill. Ain't nobody take me to Capitol Grill. And I put that in my little head. But this had been, I think it was reserved. So, a lot of my friends know recently I just got a promotion. And I have a lot of other things going on in my life that I will display later on. But my husband has been like the most patient person with me, and I wanted to thank him. So I took him to Capitol Grill. So he let me drive his truck and drive him to Capitol Grill.
She picked him up.
I picked him up and I took him on a date. And so when we pulled up, he was surprised, and then I took him to Top Golf. But it was kind of like, I felt like a man's date. It wasn't so frou-frou and romantic, but it was really, really cool. Of course, he ordered the biggest steak on the menu.
$84 ribeye. She's
keeping the Stellas flowing.
Keep the Stellas coming.
Yes.
She's paying for it.
You treated that.
I did.
Yes.
So to my surprise, the same way I surprised him, which I put on the calendar, Mommy taking Daddy on a date, because we shared this Google Cal.
Yeah.
I go on the calendar and it's Daddy taking Mommy on a date, and you can see, and it says, "Wouldn't you like to know what we?"
Because the location, I said, "Wouldn't you like to know?" And then, so what happened was basically, what it boils down to is, you're not just going to take me out on the dinner and just think that's going to be the end of it. Again, I'm competitive, but it's part of, what keeps it strong. So
it wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, we go on a fair amount of cruises, and we always talk. She always talks about wanting to do the dolphin swim, and we always end up not doing it because she's the only one that wants to do it. And it's just like, do we spend 2 hours of our 8 hours in Curacao letting you swim with dolphins while we stand there looking like Willy Foo-Foo? So we end up not doing it. So for our anniversary, we drove down to the Hard Rock in Daytona. She just said, "Hey, I don't want to do anything major. Just want a room on the beach somewhere." She was like, "We could even do it at Jack's Beach." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm not doing that." So we book our own travel. So we found a relatively inexpensive room down at the Hard Rock with sort of a patio overlooking the stage where they have live music and the ocean or whatever. But we drove down A1A, so we dropped the windows and right down the beach or whatever, and we passed Marineland. So that's when the thought first went into my head. So I'm like, yeah, we can do it here. That way we're not wasting time in a foreign country doing it. We kind of do it local. So that's what.
So just a little backup. Their anniversary is in July. So this thought came to him. This is how his brain works too, y'all.
We can do the dolphin swim right here at home. So I was just thinking of like a time when we didn't have most of our bounce house businesses on the weekend. So I knew it would sort of be last minute because I had to try to find a day where we didn't have very much bounce house business, so it wasn't sort of interrupting. And after she did that, I'm like, well, I'm just going to make it this day. I called my brother. I said, look, taking your sister to go swim with dolphins. We don't have anything on the schedule right now except like one little table and chair rental or something like that. If something pops up, I'm going to need you to take care of it because we're not going to be here.
Thank you, Jude.
And so he said, I got you or whatever. So we had already went to the Blue Hen in July.
Thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah. So we went back to the Blue Hen. Oh, and then when we went to also, because right by the Blue Hen, the way we went anyway, down US 1, you turn on one of those streets. You end up right there by San Sebastian. So stored that too.
Yeah,
I'm like, we'll go to San Sebastian. And so
all those bottles.
Boom. Woke up, went down, Blue Hen, ate, took A1A down, Marineland, swim with dolphins, and did the San Sebastian thing on the way back. And then I thought that we were done and we were going to go home, but apparently somebody had to have Kelvin's
I just wanted to go to San Sebastian.
But anyway, so that's sort of the thing. It's just, constantly going, sort of back and forth. And sometimes, it might not even be back and forth, and you can't sit around and wait.
And go or tit for tat.
Yeah. Like sometimes I may have to do 3 things. She does 3 things. You just do it when you feel like it, and it's the simplest stuff. Okay, another one. We can do this forever.
And I'm glad you said that. Just really quick, not to interrupt you, but it's a lot of this is simple stuff. Like he stored things in his memory bank that he knew his wife would want to do. Like swimming with dolphins is something Janelle has always wanted to do. he didn't book it right then and there, but when you saw the place that was local, you said, you know what, we're gonna come back here. At some point. The same thing with the Vintner's Red. See, I'm talking about wine.
That's the flavor we like.
That's the flavor we like. The same thing with St. Sebastian is, you know what, I'm gonna take her to the winery and do the tour and the tastings. It's taking that time and learning what your spouse likes, learning what your partner likes, and the little things like that. They don't have to cost a lot of money. Some of these things cost money, but then there are things that you guys do that don't cost any money at all.
No, it was one.
The car.
Little bit of money.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk about the car, because that's something free, but yes.
Okay, real quick. There's another one. I sent her flowers to the job, which is nothing major, except, they were sort of random. But let me tell you why I did it. Okay, so she invited my buddy over. Well, I invited my buddy over. She offered to cook for us.
Oh, I know what you're talking.
Yeah, and so she did wings, shrimp, fries, and we had a salad. And so I'm done eating, and I said, do we have any food left? She's like, no, but you can have some of mine. So she hands me a couple wings, and I'm starting to eat the wings, and I look, I'm like, man, okay, so Jay's plate has about half and half, drums and flats, and then hers is half and half. Mine was all flats. So I'm starting to eat like a drum, and I'm thinking to myself, damn, I said, did you pick out all the flats? And she's like, yeah, I know how my baby like his wings. And that was, it blew me away, because I know if we're at Dick's or we're at Hooters, she'll order them that way. But to think of that when you're cooking,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a lot. And so the next day I'm sitting at the fire station, and because I've ordered from them before, I get a thing from 1-800-Flowers that says free same day delivery if you want to order flowers. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So out the blue, because again, that's sort of our tit for tat thing. I sent her flowers. The lady's like, what you want to put on the car? I was like, because you picked out all the plants. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just little stuff like that, which wasn't much. I mean, it was probably a $29 arrangement or whatever. But it was, again, what she did didn't cost anything. It was a thought.
Just a thought.
Yeah, you picked out all the freaking flats.
That's love.
You didn't order it that way. You purposely picked it out and put it on the plate, because you know how I eat my chicken.
If a man made me a meal of all flats, I would love him forever. Because the flats are my favorite part.
Yeah. Okay, so you were talking about the car.
Yes.
And the reason she knows this story is because I had a buddy of mine who he thinks that our situation, and I'll go back a little bit, it is better when you don't have the worry of finances. Going all the way back, we kind of skipped over our problems. We did have some problems around probably year 3 to 7 or so. But what we learned was it wasn't us, it was our situation. And when the situation changed, when you're not worried about certain things, it makes everything else much easier. And so when we finally kind of got our financial sense right, and not worried about money as much, we realized that it wasn't us, it was the situation. When the situation improved, it's been easier street. I ain't gonna say easy street, because we still have the occasional flare up, but nothing like what we had back then. But a friend of mine seems to think, if I had the money you have, I could do the stuff. But what I try to tell him, we've had money since 2010 or 11. We've been married since 2002. And again, it was about 2007 and after, it's been okay. And so it was about time we bought the house. The last big flare up was at the apartment. We bought the house in April of 07. Right. Okay, so one of the things I did while we were in the apartment was somebody had bought me a digital camera. And so we had one kid at the time. That was Julian. This was pre-Taylor. And Valentine's Day. Was it Valentine's Day or Christmas?
It was Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. So yeah, Mother's Day was rolling around.
It was Mother's Day.
Yeah, we didn't have I didn't have much money back then. I mean, we were paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes less than that.
We made it work.
Yeah, and so felt like I wanted to do something though. So I think I might have $25 to spend. Went to Walmart, got a big display board, and it's the one that it's got a big center and then 2 flaps that fold out.
Like your project board.
Like a project board.
Yep.
And so I had already had a stencil for some reason or another. We had markers already. I bought some paint, and we bought 4 cards from Walgreens. So Julian and I on the floor of the kitchen made the middle of it said, "You're the best wife and mom," and then it was hands down, but it was his little handprint and then my big handprint. And then I took that digital camera I had just gotten, and while we were doing it, I'm taking pictures of sort of the process, him tracing and filling stuff in, and us smearing paint on each other's face like newlyweds do with the cake, and all different things like that. And then we ran up to Walgreens, and for 19 cents a piece, printed out about 30 pictures. And so the right side of the board, when you open it, was all of the the progress of us making the card. The left side was like 4 real cards that we bought from Walgreens, 2 from, Happy Mother's Day from son, Happy Mother's Day from husband, and in the middle again said best wife and mom hands down. And that was $25, and that was like one of the, according to her, best gifts she received. And it hurt her when I had to throw it away. I mean, we were starting to turn into hoarders. You can't keep everything. And so that's something that we ended up throwing away. Another one, I asked this same friend. I said, have you ever gotten your girl, well, his wife now, it was his girlfriend at the time. Have you ever gotten her like a hotel? Have y'all ever stayed in a hotel room? He's like, yeah. I said, well, how'd y'all get there? He's like, we drove. I'm like, that's you sort of proving my point, because you did the exact same thing we did. The way I did it, though, and the way you did it was different. And it didn't really cost me any extra. So what I did for this one particular trip, and I think I got this from some Publix commercial or something I saw. So what it was the guy had this girl, like met her on the bus and had him follow all around till they ended up meeting somewhere else at like a bar or whatever, and it's supposed to be a happily ever after story. So I'm like, that's kind of a good idea. Again, it's just storing it for later. So boom, had the idea. We got the room. That room was at the Homewood Suites at the town center. Place was still sort of brand new. So I basically hit these little like 4-line clues at various spots all over the city, starting with like the house. So she got home. She was about to go check the mailbox. I yelled at her, "Don't check the mailbox, because you will find clue 3 before you find clue 2 and 1." Oh yeah, you actually did find it? Yeah, that's ridiculous. She always messed it up. Yeah. So anyway, so basically all I did was I had a clue inside the house. So I'm kind of spying on her. We lived in an apartment complex at the time. So I'm spying on her from around the corner. So I see her get out the car, and she goes up the stairs and goes in the house. As soon as she closed the door, I had my key to the car. I unlocked the car, stuffed the note in the clue number 2 inside the visor, and then I drive to the hotel room. So
can you believe I drove all that time, y'all? I had that clue in my car for I don't know how long.
The clue was in there after you walked in. The clue wasn't in there.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. I put it. Yeah, no, I put it in there. I put it in there when you got out the car to go into the house. So I used my key to unlock it, stuck it in there, closed it. So it wasn't in there until you got back to the car. So clue number 1 had some little line about blocking your eyes while you're driving. She got the clue that it was the visor, so she checked the visor. Clue number 2 sends her to the mailbox where she had already found clue 3 out of order. So she goes to the mailbox. That clue sends her all the way to Bay Meadows Road East. I used to work at a plant nursery at the time. And so that clue sends her all the way there. And then the clue at the nursery in the mailbox sent her to my buddy Jim's house across the street. Jim's clue, he gave her a piece of cheesecake, and the clue said something along the lines of, come to the hotel nearest to where this cheesecake was made. And it was a Cheesecake Factory cheesecake, and that Homewood Suites was the closest hotel. And so I'd already told the lady at the front desk that, hey, you're going to look for, a black chick that's look confused. Can you give her, the room key and tell her what room number I'm in? And so sure enough, as soon as she left, my buddy Jim called and said, hey, she just left, which kind of gave me a time frame. So I started running, her bath. I had like a wine already and everything. And so she got there, lady gives her the key, and then boom, she comes up and tub's already, and
you even had my clothes.
Yeah, I had packed her clothes and everything. And so she, she took a bath, sipped her some wine, and then we walked to Maggiano's for dinner, and that was sort of thing. So it was basically dinner in a hotel room, but it was the presentation. Yeah, it was the presentation that was, that was better.
I'm telling you, these are the things that can take a relationship so far.
Mm-hmm.
It's the little attention to detail, or just the care that it doesn't cost a lot of money to make your significant other happy, your spouse happy. It's the thought. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand is everybody wants to be thought of. And no one wants to be an afterthought. No one wants to feel like they're unloved, they're not cared. And those are the gestures that I feel like if you're taking that time to do this for me, then I'm going to make sure that I'm doing it tenfold for you.
Right.
And I feel like that's where if nothing else, that's where the back and forth comes from. It's like, I love you more. No, I love you more. You know?
Don't even get this started, because every time I tell him I love you, he's like, I love you more. And I'm like, this is not
but
for
see,
the
like, I feel that's it's
fresh
cute. Like, it keeps it fresh and it keeps it alive, you know?
Second place, baby. It's like a silver medal.
I don't know. Negative.
It's like a silver medal.
So we got a couple of
snap
questions. Anthony asks, are we all barefoot? Listen, I
got shoes on,
I brought my shoes, and initially it wasn't set up like this. When I saw your comment, I put my foot down. Let me tell I was like,
got shoes
I
on,
didn't
bro.
even realize I could see them feet.
Bro,
Because we had to move the camera.
Oh, that's right.
So I am
Okay.
there for the.
Bro, you supposed to be asking marriage questions, bro. That's what I keep, man.
Go somewhere, Anthony. Okay, Jamie, how do you make your finances work?
Oh, man.
Everybody handles their finances differently.
What does she mean by make our finances work?
We'll clarify that. So what do
Yeah.
you mean by making your finances work? Let's discuss that. She did ask me another question too.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
What kind of boundaries? I wrote that wrong. What kind of boundaries protect your marriage? Boundaries.
I think she mean like boundaries as in, you know, people coming into our business and like having that boundary, whatever.
That's what I assumed too, and I probably wrote that wrong, so I'm so sorry.
I think that's what
but it was a question about boundaries. Like, what kind of boundaries protect your marriage?
That dude, that's stupid, man.
Shut up,
That
Anthony.
dude is stupid. That's an inside joke.
Oh, I was like, I don't get it.
That's an
No,
inside joke.
don't even try. We're
it's a
not reading
cologne
any
that I
more
wear that
comments
she
from you,
loves.
Anthony.
Okay, so boundaries. I don't know. I don't think I fully understand the question.
I do.
Okay,
So think about, you know, people coming into our marriage. Like,
So that's when I think of boundaries, I think a lot of times, especially when you're going through something, people want to insert themselves into your relationship, your situation, and tell you what to do or what they would do or what they wouldn't do. Like, what kind of things do you guys do
he don't do that. Me, I'm a talker, so I just with me, I have a really tight circle when it comes to certain things that I share, and so I just make sure that it's those people. But when you have somebody like, you know, I know some people might think, oh, how do you handle the in-laws and stuff like that? Thank God I have great in-laws. But me and my mother-in-law wasn't always at that place, and so I think we had to just establish an understanding with us, you know, even like with my mom or my parents. You know, my mom nobody. If I even call her right now, she gonna hang up in my face. So she don't want to hear it. So it's like, you know, you just have to pick and choose what you're discussing with people. That's basically it.
Okay, so I don't do unsolicited advice. So like if I want your opinion on anything, I'm gonna ask. And then like part of my upbringing made me really so I ended up moving in with my grandmother, who wasn't really my grandmother. She was just sort of the woman that raised my mother when my real grandparents died. So like my life was real complicated, but it's part of what made me who I was, you know. And again, tying into her, it was nice to sort of feel wanted when I did. And again, feeling wanted for a reason other than something you thinking is nefarious. And so that played a factor in it. But it also, because we moved around so much, when I moved my mom in, we would always move. So it's like as soon as you made friends, you know, boom, we got to go stay with Auntie such and such. Now we move all the way from 10th and Market to Riverside. And then you make acquaintance over there, and then you move over to, you know, Arlington. And then you move to 19th and Phoenix. So you was constantly moving. It made me kind of grow to not be attached to anybody. And like, she was having a conversation with my mom because we all went down to Orlando a little while back. And, you know, we all got kind of a big house or whatever. So she had time to sort of talk to my mom at night. They would sit out on the back patio by the pool and, you know, sip some wine or whatever and talk. But like, I was prepared because my mom was like borrowing money from me at like a ridiculous rate, and it was affecting our relationship. And like, again, this is my mom, but at the same time, you know, my life revolves around the people that live at 3571, and like to a certain extent, everybody else is expendable, especially if what you're saying or what you're doing is coming between me and those three people that live at that residence. And so we had a talk right at the gate gas station at Maryland Townsend. I'm gonna loan you this money. I want my money back, and this is the last time I'm gonna do this. And if you decide that, you know, you're not gonna give me my money back, then, I mean, essentially we're dead to each other. This is my mom. But again, it's affecting my household. So like, I'm not saying cut everybody off in your family. It's just easier for me because I felt like people turned their back on me my entire life. So I just stopped getting attached to people, and I always sort of tried to live a life in which I only needed to depend on myself. You know, like, it's so bad now to where I joke that I only owe major financial institutions. So like, when at the fire station, we have to pay a certain amount of money per month for them to buy condiments and seasoning, and we call it staples. I hate when they write my name on the board, because one, I'm never late. But like, if the payday, let's say we work Wednesday, the payday is Friday, they'll put my name on the board technically before it's due. And like that, just that little thing, I would go in there and just give them the $25. Don't put I don't owe people. I never like to feel like, and like another buddy of mine, we always sort of get into it because anytime I have him help me with bounce houses, I pay him. You know, he's like, oh, I'm doing this as a favor. I don't want favors because in my head, I'm going to feel like I owe you something. Or if later on down the line, you need to borrow some money or need me to come do something, I don't want you to feel like I have to do it because you helped me break down the bounce house one time. And so a lot of it is like my upbringing, but I don't take unsolicited advice, and we keep all that stuff to the outside. We handle everything in house for the most part.
You make sure that what your unit is taken care of, and if it interferes with your family unit, then it's gonna go away. That's real. Okay. What advice do you have when it comes to compromise? You grew up together, so I'm sure you had to work on it. But I find it hard being 35 and single for quite a while. It's hard for me to change my ways and learn to compromise. I feel you on that, Chantel. Like, I feel that maybe my parents, I think it's a Bayesian saying, it's an own way cow. Meaning you just kind of do what you want to do your own way. And I feel the same way. I've been single for so long, and I don't even want to attach an age to it, but what can you give us in the way of compromise? Like what? And that's actually one of the questions I have. Like how do you guys compromise and make that compromise for like the things you want to do for yourself, or you know?
We discuss a lot of things. Now, one thing I want to say is, you know, in your marriage or in your relationship, they always say communication is key. Mm-hmm. I always thought that until I realized it's not the communication. You have to listen.
That's a good one.
So the fact that in the beginning we really didn't compromise because Corey did live as if he only took care of himself. Like he took care of us, but there would be times where Corey would go out and I'd be like, where you going? He's like, out, and he was gone. And I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? You know, I need to know I'm your wife. And so we had to have a sit down. And I'm like, you know, how would you feel if I came home or I left and I was like, I'm going out?
Right.
He ain't playing that. So I was, you know, it for compromise for me, I discuss everything. You know, okay, how do you feel about this? Well, this is what I want to do. You know, are you going to support me or not? Mm-hmm. It's for him. I think I've shown that more to him because he has more of the ideas and things like that. So anything that Corey wants to do, I'm going to support it because I'm his teammate. Where, you know, same thing with him. You know, with Corey though, he thinks differently than me. So, you know, if he sees something with him being the head of the household, if he see that it's not going to be beneficial or, you know, not right now, he'll tell me, you know, hey, I really don't know about this, and then we'll talk about it. Mm-hmm. So I really think with compromise, you have to remember, one, that you're in a relationship with somebody and you have to take their considerations and thoughts, because put yourself in their shoes.
That's the ticket.
Yeah. Put yourself in their shoes. I didn't start doing that until probably 10, I don't know. Like when our relationship was starting to change, that's when it changed, because I had to start asking myself, okay, how would he feel about this? Mm-hmm. How would he feel about this? And so I asked him to do the same for me, and I think it kind of changed how we thought. Yeah, because I don't like when he's upset, just like he don't like when I'm upset. Mm-hmm. So the goal is to make sure that we're comfortable, and if we're not comfortable, we're gonna find a way to make it comfortable so we both are okay.
Okay, I like that. I do. Now, do you guys in communicating say, hey, I don't like this? Like, is it just as simple as,
Yeah, I guess it's harder for her, but for me, if I had an issue, I'm getting off
I pick my battles.
Yeah.
I pick my battles because Corey likes to argue, and I don't. And he will have he will tell me what I'm finna say before I say it. So you done had the whole argument. You already thought this through. He should have been a lawyer. And so I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't want to argue. I only argue or discuss things like this until it's like something that I'm very, very passionate about. Mm-hmm. Other than that, you can have it. I don't care.
Yeah. I don't have the energy. Some things aren't, and that's something I know I have to learn, that some things just aren't worth the energy, because not that I like to argue, but I'm going to drive my point home. Mm-hmm. You're going to hear this, and then sometimes it's just as, I want this right here, and you're gonna have to hear why I want it there. Mm-hmm. You can tell me a million reasons why it shouldn't be there, but until I've gotten all mine out and it stays there for at least 10 days, like I have to learn. It's like, Ericka, it's not that serious. You could put it over there, and still, you know, like, at the end of the day,
at the end of the
not
day,
that
it's like, you
important.
know, okay, so let's say like with me and Cole, we try not to go to bed, man. We try. When you, let's say you get ready to lay down at night, because everybody's wanting to get that point across, what point did it really prove? Because now you both upset for what? Unless it's really worth it, pick your battles.
Pick your battles. I like
did she
that.
ever clarify that?
Yes.
Finance?
Yes, she did.
She said, on my finance question, I mean, what are your values about finance? So I'm still not clear.
I think I can explain.
Okay.
So like we've done the poor side. We did that. You know, we did the spending more money than you make and having credit card debt. You know, being paycheck to paycheck. So now what we do is we make more money than we can spend, essentially. You know, we have yeah. Well, I do. we have.
I need a husband because I don't make
Yeah, so like basically what happened was, you know, and I started to realize this because like even during this financial crisis thing, when the government shut down back in February, there were like air traffic controllers saying they had to like sell their car because they went 33 days without a paycheck, and that used to be us, you know. And it was funny because I was doing something one time and I was making a little bit of money through nefarious means. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. But I told my dad, who had always looked out for me, you know, hey, if you need anything, I could take care of him because I had come into some money. He's like, what the hell does come into money mean? You know, and I explained what happened. He's like, well, if it's illegal, you need to stop because as soon as you think about stopping, it's going to hit the fan. Whatever. The other thing he said was, do you have enough money to pay your bills for 6 months? And I started carrying the one. And I'm like, what? No. Like
carrying the one.
Who I look like Bill Gates? 6 months? No. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, you know, he was adamant about telling me, you know, well, tell me you all right then. I was like, they done hurt my feelings. I got more money than I ever had at this point because, you know, I was doing something, you know, whatever. And I'm like, he just popped my balloon, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm sitting, that was like my goal from that point on. Now I'm finna get this money. Well, when I got deployed, and we got it. We were actually in North Carolina first. Now I'm like active duty Marine, E3, and I got my first check. We were at the apartment. We had one car, 2002 Ford Focus, one kid, and I got my first check. And I'm like, dang. And we get another one of these on the 15th.
right.
My buddy's like, yeah. And he's like, it gets better when we get in country because you see where they took that $370 in tax. They not gonna take that, and you get separation pay, and you get hazardous duty pay, and you get imminent danger pay. So we get our first check after we've been in country for 2 weeks, and it was enough to pay all our bills and have $400 left. One check. I got a whole nother one coming on the 15th. Like, this is crazy. And so I told Jay, hey, pay the bills on the 1st, keep that $400, do whatever you want with it. Take you and the boy go out to eat, do whatever. I don't care. Your nails done, keep your head done. Don't touch that check on the 15th. You know, and so I was over there for 7 months. We got back. We went on a cruise. Our rings were financed at the time. Paid the ring off, and in my account was enough money to pay my bills for 6 months. We had 6 months. But up to now, it's not the same now because our bills are going up tremendously. But we're still doing all right. Yeah. But the point, what I realized was though, you can make more money, but if you don't have the financial sense, you just still gonna have more problems. Air traffic controllers make 130 to 180 grand a year, and the dude couldn't go 33 days without a paycheck. It's not how much you. NFL players can't strike to barter for guaranteed contracts because they can't go a month without game checks. That's why the NFL owners are going to always win, and that's why baseball players have no problem striking because they make enough money to where they can, you know, sort of, hey, we made $25 million last year. Not every football player makes that. A lot of these guys, right? And so if you're not managing your money well, how much money you make is not going to make a difference. So
does one person control the finances, or do you guys?
They're sort of separate. So like she pays the light bill, the phone bill, and Taylor's extended day, and I essentially pay
everything else.
Okay,
that's
fair.
So
it's as fair as it can get with the discrepancy.
Yeah,
you know,
and that was hard.
Pay.
That was really hard. That was one of the hardest things in our marriage, I think, because we would argue about like how are we supposed to do our finances, and so in my mind, I had this, you know, thinking of traditionally, he's supposed to do everything, and I'm supposed to just, not do anything. You can't have my money, but you gonna give me some of your money too. I'm kidding. But we needed to come up with a common ground, and what we do, it works for us. I know some people are like, what? You pay this and that. Yes. Why? Because compromise.
Yeah.
I had to listen to him and how he felt about what bills he was paying, or he's at the fire department and I'm out partying. But he working all the time.
But we supposed to split the money 50-50.
Right. That's not fair.
I'm working 24 hours in a row and then getting off and going to cut grass in the hot sun for 10 hours and then setting up a bounce house at 8 o'clock at night or breaking down at 8 o'clock at night. I already knew there would be some sort of resentment that I couldn't control. Yeah. So to alleviate that, we just have to sit down and sort of discuss it. And like I say, she still got a sweet deal.
I do.
You know what I mean? Like the sum of all of her bills is like $500 less than just the mortgage. But it works.
I pay other stuff too. I got loans and stuff.
But basically, you guys going back something that worked for you.
Yeah, and going back real quick. Essentially, we have like a 3-income lifestyle with 5 incomes. So we did not like change our lifestyle to solely match our income. So like at any point we can lose an income, and maybe swimming with dolphins might be out, or a trip to here may be out, but any 2 of those 5 can pay our bills.
Okay.
So if I stop bounce housing right now, if I just get rid of the bounce house business, we'd still be okay as far as the rent, the mortgage, car notes,
everything else,
all that. And that's how we do it. We just make a crap ton, and that's part of the reason we have to travel so much. So because the only time I sit still is when we go somewhere. I mean, I'll work 30 and 40 days in a row sometimes, just depending on when my station days fall. I'm at the station Saturday and Sunday. And I'm finna try to be there tomorrow. My day is scheduled tomorrow. I'm trying to work overtime Thursday, so I'm gonna be Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Friday I'll be landscaping.
So you're already planning a vacation, is what you're saying.
Something's coming. We got Halloween Horror Nights.
Yes. So was being an entrepreneur something that always was in your mind? Like you knew that somewhere down the line that this is how you guys were gonna
I learned it early.
Yeah,
real early.
Because you touched on the streams of income, which I think is super important nowadays too. Like just having multiple streams.
Yeah. I learned that early because again I've studied the rich and wealthy, and none of them saved, and none of them worked for somebody else. You start running down the list. You got Jeff Bezos. He founded Amazon. You got Bill Gates. Him and Paul Allen founded Microsoft. You got Mark Zuckerberg. You got Larry Ellison, Sergey Brin, Larry Page founded Google, founded Oracle. Nobody saved their way to wealth. Nobody worked at Best Buy and became, a billionaire. You just don't do it. You have to start something.
Yeah.
And so that's what we figured. And some of it hit and some of it didn't. I did a whole ringed out thing. I got a ton of shirts now that didn't work. I actually, Better 5. I'm doing failure right now because, you're gonna fail in order to grow. So not everything we did was successful, but you got to get out there and take that chance and try.
You guys even went to a seminar together.
Yes.
Down in Miami.
Yep, 10X Growth Con.
Cardone. That was cool.
Yep.
That actually
Steve Harvey
my
and
mind.
Damon John and Sarah Blakely, and had a star-studded lineup, a 3-day event, and it was real nice. It was enlightening.
Awesome. It's like a lot of it is common goals, commonality. Like you guys have the conversation, you know which direction you want to take your family dynamic, and you work on the things that are going to push you guys forward, that's going to accelerate you guys as a unit. And but one thing that I usually stress out, right? Not stress, but like, what do you do for yourself? Like, what do you do for Corey? Just for Corey. What do you do for Janelle?
I just went and bought me a really nice truck. I'm a gadget guy, so like I got my phone, I got my watch, I got my light bulbs I can talk to, and I got my Arlo cameras, and that's what I do. So I spend my money on gadgets and trips. So luckily everybody in the house get the benefit from the trips I like to take. So I mean that's it. That's what I do for me though. I like to travel the world, and I like my gadgets, and I like my new truck.
What about you?
So that's what I do.
I just started really paying more attention to myself. So now I like to get away and be by myself, even if it's for half a day. So, but I need that because just like, he works every day and every day, and, he's constantly on the go. I try to support him and tell him, hey, you need to go get a massage, or hey, you need to go this, and, but he's constantly on the go. But just like he works, I work, but I'm a mom and I'm a wife, and I get the question, what's for dinner?
You get it on the other end too.
Oh my God. So I need like a mental break. So for me, I like to take hot baths, and I just like that alone time where I don't have to talk to anybody.
I like that.
So that's me. Give me that beach time by myself with my wine. I'm good. Like I like to be by myself.
Is there compromise in that? Like making sure, like if you say I need to be by myself, like, or I want this truck.
Well, that. No, no compromise in the truck.
Okay.
But I mean, see, that doesn't affect her anyway.
It doesn't, right.
Not like I'm asking for half the payment or anything like that.
I get in trouble sometimes for being alone for a long period of time. It depends on what time it is.
Yeah, but no, like so she kind of gets that anyway with the fire department. So once every 72 hours, she gets 25 of them or 24 of them alone. At least 24. Sometimes like she's gonna have
from you.
Yeah, 24 of the next.
Still churn at the house.
Oh, you mean like completely?
No, I mean like when I say for yourself, I mean like for yourself. Because I still feel like.
I mean, she could. I mean, not often, but you went to Dallas. What, twice?
Yeah.
Twice. You got the retreat thing coming up here.
Yes, Women on the Rise.
Yeah, Women on the Rise. So I mean,
we go to the beach.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah, go to the beach without the kids. So.
Yeah,
without
the kids.
I never have a issue with her having her time.
No,
I think that's important.
Now I will, like when she goes to the beach and I'm not working, I'll say, you work all day. I work all day, you play all day. But those are just facts.
Sounds like a hater.
Well, I'm just trying to. I'm having my fun.
You just send those text messages.
I'm having my fun.
We'll be on the beach and he'll be like.
But I'm having my fun while he's not available to me.
Yes.
So but when he's home, I'm trying to get him my time.
Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up because it's getting to that point. So my last question is, what advice would you give to men and women out there when it comes to making it work with their partner? Like just the longevity piece. Like I think that's the biggest thing for all of us that we are lacking right now is longevity.
No, you go first. Go ahead.
For the longevity, like I said before, you have to remember why you're in this relationship, why you fell in love. If you don't remember that, then you might need to question, what it is. Me and Corey actually don't have a lot in common. But one thing that we do have in common is we like to laugh. So, just having that time, you have to make time. You have to understand your partner. You have to listen. You have to, like I said, love yourself. I cannot stress that enough. Love yourself first, because you can't love someone properly until you know who you are, what you want, and then you know what to provide for that partner. This has been the happiest that I've ever been with myself and my marriage, but it's because I finally took that time to say, hey, I need to be better for me. I need to be better for my kids. I need to be better for my husband. And now he's reaping the benefits of me being happy. So I mean, just focus on yourself, give yourself time, and then also make sure you are compromising, you are listening to your partner, put yourself in their shoes.
Okay, I like it.
First thing is remember that this whole thing is sort of bespoke, sort of a la carte. So what works for us may not necessarily work for the next couple. So you can't just sit and say, hey, that's how Corey and Janelle do it, so that's how we gonna do it, because it may not necessarily work. People may be different. Like I said, I think a big part of it was just like my upbringing and what I wanted. I feel like that big hiccup we had at year 5, what kept us through it, one was big in the church back then, and everybody go, they ain't gonna last 3 years because they get married too young. So one, I wanted to make them wrong. 2, I didn't want to feel like a failure. And 3, I couldn't imagine her moving on and then some other dudes taking my son to open house. So
and there's nothing wrong with that.
And it wasn't what I wanted. Yeah. So basically, you got to make sure your goals are in line. Chris Rock had the joke: one can't be a born again Christian, the other be a crackhead. It's just not gonna work. So you just got to make sure your goals are in line. And as far as that compromise thing go, you have to do that a little bit too, and just make sure that when you do something, you're doing it. If both of you are trying to do something that's in the best interest of the other person, you can't go wrong.
All right, that's good sound advice. I really
Oh, Anthony said him and Samantha next.
It's gonna be rated R.
No.
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 Sorry,
I can't do rated R yet. No.
No.
Oh, what my cousin said. Proud of you again, cuz Cora just
reflecting on your situation as a kid.
Yeah.
You, Julius, looking at where you are now is inspiring to others.
Yeah.
Continue to share your story. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Appreciate it, cuz.
Yes.
Thanks, Steve.
Well, thank you guys so much. And just really quick, just to wrap it up, I think you hit the nail on the head. Is you guys do what works for you, but you realize that you needed to do what works for you. You do that through effective communication, through, compromise, and through listening to what your partner is saying. And I think if you do those things, you can figure out what's going to work for you and your partner going forward. So, thank you guys so much for doing this. This was good.
Keep on one thing in mind. If you remember that when you're married and don't do it just for the kids, because when those kids are gone, you're gonna be looking at somebody and you're gonna be like, oh, what the hell? I don't know who you are, whatever. So that's why we're taking this time now that we have the opportunity with Julian being older to date each other and to, get to know each other more and see what, we like or whatever. Because when Julian leaves me in 2 years and then Taylor leaves me after that, it's going to be just the two of us. And y'all
gotta like each other then.
Out of here,
thank you
bro.
for having us, baby.
No, y'all stuck now. Okay.
Yeah.
Out of here, bro. All over. Y'all think we go now. Ooh, we ain't got them jokers to pay for.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you all out there. I will see you next week. I'm going to have Jade Stanley on, so stay tuned.
Hey,
good night.
Bye, everybody.
I never know how to end this. Okay.
We're still here.
Oh, that's because I did it on my phone. Bye.